Hi everyone, welcome back to my weekly bonsai show on YouTube. This is the follow-up video. What we'll do today, instead of working on something new, is we'll go back and do follow-ups on 3 trees that we've worked on in the recent past and see where we are with them and see what the future holds. You'll notice that next to me here is the large ficus tree that we worked on just a few weeks ago. And you'll also notice that it has considerably more growth on it than it did when we repotted it. And this is in just a couple of weeks. It already had the fruit on it, but the fruit is now starting to ripen and turn yellow. And we have a considerable amount of new growth on just about every branch tip throughout the entire tree. This is a very good sign, and what it means is that the soil mix that we used is working really well. Another indication is if you rock it very gently, you'll notice that it no longer needs the wires that we put in to support it because it's starting to push root growth into the soil mix. So we'll just do another slow rotation and have another look at it, and then we'll put it back and we'll look at some other trees. Now in the future, we're going to wire this top branch over this way a little bit, but it's still not quite thick enough to really be safely wired. If we wire it now, we risk bruising the bark on it. So we'll wait till it's just a little thicker, which could happen later this fall or early next spring, and at that point we'll start doing further branch development. So we'll take one last look at this tree. And now let's move on to the next tree. Here is our ginseng ficus, which we repotted just a couple of weeks ago. If you look carefully, you can see there's new growth on all of the branch tips. And even on the side branches here. And also, again, it's now very stable in the pot. You can rock it a little bit without risk of displacing it. So again, this is a sign that we've done things right with this tree, and it has a very bright future ahead of it. What we'll do with the remainder of this growing season is watch it carefully and look for development on the lateral branches here, so that we can take out any redundant branching, like possibly this one here in the future, and eventually wire out branches like this one to fill out the upper part of the tree. If you recall, this is the former front right here, and then we rotate it around and we can see the tree's new front here. So thank you for looking at this tree, and now let's move on to the final tree that we're going to look at in this video. Hi everyone. This is the last of the trees we're going to look at in this video, and obviously and unfortunately on our How to Create a Bonsai from a Juniper, something went a little bit wrong, and I was kind of mystified myself, because the large trunk is obviously very healthy. It's grown nearly 2 inches taller than it was when I shaped out the tree, and every branch tip on it is doing really well. So I scratched my head and I looked at it and I wondered, and I just kind of watched it for a long time, and finally a clue appeared, and that is these 2 tiny green shoots here at the base of this part of the tree. This tells me that the tree did not suffer from root rot. It's not a situation where I had 2 trees in the same pot and one lived and the other one died. What happened is, because we did this repotting in July, part of the tree died back from the heat. And remember I said don't repot a juniper bonsai in July, that we were doing it just for the purpose of the video, and this is what happened. So where we'll go from here is we're going to regrow these two trunks from these two tiny little shoots here, and eventually we will have our 3-trunk bonsai. Meanwhile, the large trunk is still very, very healthy, obviously, so we have a healthy living tree to work on. And eventually, the 2 trunks that died will be turned into gins, sharis, and deadwood. And it's probably going to mean that we have an even more interesting tree than what we originally planned on. So, like I said, folks, be very, very careful what you do with bonsais in hot weather, especially junipers, because this could happen. But on the other hand, if you do grow bonsais, you are going to have things that go wrong, and it is important to learn from them. So, what I want to leave us with here is the fact that this tree obviously still has a very bright future, even though something did go a little bit wrong. Thank you for watching, folks.